Hello, London. I'm Matt Brown, and you're listening to the Matt Brown Podcast.
It's a show about all things local and maybe some other stuff too. Between now and Election Day, I hope to have many candidates join the show to give us a sense of why they're running and what their vision for London is. Today, we're speaking with candidates from Ward 1. I'm going to tell you all about it right after this.
Discover London Bicycle Cafe. It's the perfect time of year to take a break on their spacious patio, featuring craft beer, espresso drinks, snacks, meals, and more. London Bicycle Cafe at the Forks of the Thames. See you soon.
London's municipal election is underway. We're still in the early days with the vote scheduled for October 26th. And to date, there are 5 candidates running for mayor and 33 candidates running for one ward seat or another. Based on these numbers and considering that the 2022 election had a record-setting low voter turnout at just over 25%, there's a sense that the field of candidates running for office might be larger this time around, which could translate into greater interest and possibly higher voter turnout too. Naturally, a good deal of attention is directed towards the citywide race, which means it can be more difficult to find out about any given ward race. Between now and Election Day, we're going to take a look at as many of those ward races as possible, with specific attention given to the most contentious ones. For each of these episodes, all candidates running will be invited to participate, and the questions will be fair and balanced. Today, we're taking a look at Ward 1. The sitting Ward 1 member of council, Hadleigh McAlister, will be with us for the second half of our show. And here with us now is the challenger, Roger Caranci. You served as a member of council from 2000 to 2010. You've taken a 16-year hiatus, and now you're back in a race. What motivated you to do that this time?
You know, Matt, your perspectives tend to change a bit, and but the biggest thing is you want to do things again to help the city. I've got 5 grandchildren. The city, I think, has some challenges that I think I can really help with because of my experience over the past 16 years. And I want to bring that to the city, and that expertise I think that I've gained over the years on various issues. Affordable housing is one of them, a big one, and I think that's one where I've spent a lot of time with a group as chair of Residential Affordable Housing. We've done some great projects in the city, award-winning projects. And we will continue to do that because the reward when people come up to you and say, I don't know where I would have been if we didn't have what you guys have built here, what you folks have built here, that's the payoff. And it's wonderful to see, and it's wonderful to get that feeling when people do that.
Okay, well, let's stay with citywide issues for now. We'll get to Ward 1 a little bit later in our conversation. What are you seeing as some of the biggest issues that you'd like to focus on?
Well, I think the biggest issues, and I think most people would agree, is the homelessness issue. And the homelessness issue has two prongs to it. There's the addiction issues and the mental health issues. Those are things that the city cannot fix by themselves. That's a big, we have to do this in conjunction with the provincial and federal governments. The health issues are issues that the provincial government, are supposed to take care of. I think I'm prepared to lead the charge, so to speak, to get them to understand that. I mean, the City of London has been doing for many years, we keep putting money into shelters. Shelters are not going to be the end of the problem. It's getting people to change their ways, getting them to do things that makes them healthier, and I think we have to push back at that and do a better job of it. Ward 1 now is inheriting Old East Village. Old East Village has some major issues. There's other areas of the ward that have that type of issue too. And I want to fix that. There's business people there that have spent hundreds of thousands and into the millions of dollars to start their businesses, and they're suffering. And they're the backbone of the economy when they create jobs. We've seen that they've not been able to go forward because of the stresses on their community, and I want to make sure that we can help take those stresses away, make the city a better place, and make lives better for the people that are going through those challenges right now.
Okay, fair enough. And I want to spend a little bit more time talking about Old East Village as well. But let's stay on the topic of citywide homelessness for right now. We know that the number is growing. 3-4 years ago, there were about 2,000 people experiencing homelessness here in London, and that's shot up by 18%. even though there has been a $35 million fund that was partially donated from a major donor, partially donated from regular everyday Londoners. To my understanding, I could be wrong, but I think most of that money has been spent and the problem continues to worsen. So you're on City Council. What do you do differently than you saw in the last 4 years?
I think the big thing is as I mentioned, we have to push back to the province, say that the issues to be dealt with are the mental health and addiction issues, and we have to open facilities that help take care of people for those things. The affordable housing issue in London, I think there are some very good organizations. The group I'm with is part of the Soho Alliance that has built the buildings there, helping with affordable housing. We are continuing to do that. We have other sites that we're going to develop. There are other groups that are going to develop them too. I think the city, I'm just going to give you an example of what we did a few years back when it comes to affordable housing. We built Residenza Ortona on Hamilton Road. We built a 60-unit apartment building, and we spent $13.5 million doing that with balconies, very nice place, award-winning design. We always say that we wouldn't build something if we wouldn't live there ourselves. And the City of London at the same time built a 61-unit apartment building. And that 61-unit apartment building came out at $20 million. There's a $6.5 million price difference.
Don't they call that the 300 Dufferin markup?
That's, you know what, that's a big markup. And, we know what we're doing. We've done it for a long time. It's just a matter of having that experience to know that things can be done much better and much more efficiently and cost effectively. And again, that experience I can bring forward. And again, but it's the issue of helping those who need a place to stay. We know that it's difficult to house people with issues, the health issues that I've brought up. So those have to be dealt with, I think, first. We have to make sure that they have places to go so they're not dependent on drugs. We have to make sure that those with mental health afflictions have that treated. You cannot treat people on the street. I don't care what anybody says. It cannot be treated on the street properly. I've knocked on people's door during the time that I've started past few weeks, and I've talked to 3 people that were former addicts. And they all told me the same thing. You cannot give people drugs and expect them to come off it, and you cannot treat them in the streets because it doesn't work that way. So those things have to be looked at. It's people like that have that expertise and that knowledge and that experience. They're the ones we have to listen to. Sometimes there are studies that come out that say this, that, and the other thing, and we've seen what's happened. It has not worked. So it's that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. That's what the city's been doing. That's what we have to stop.
Okay. Thank you for that. Time flies. We're already halfway through the time that we have set aside for this conversation. And let's now focus on Ward 1. You mentioned something that folks at home might just be realizing is that there were some boundary changes in the wards right across the city, some big ones in some cases. Ward 1 is one of those. Oldies Village is moving from Ward 4 to Ward 1. And I'm sure you're spending time there. What are the businesses telling you?
Well, the big one again is the state of Dundas Street and the area around there, because everything spills off of Dundas Street. So the homeless issue is a big one. The way people are treated and the way people do things on the street that are not in the best interests of the community as a whole. Those are things that we have to look and we have to deal with right away. I'm not one to shy away from taking care of that problem. I'm not one that's going to come in there and bulldoze and say, hey, folks, get out of here. We have to take care of those. We have to, we have to have boundaries, compassionate boundaries, and I think that everybody has to pitch in to help on this, and that's the big thing. There's some issues maybe on a bit of a smaller scale in the Hamilton Road area that have to be taken care of also. The city has issues all over. Ward 1 is not an area that does not have the same issues as other parts of the city, and we'll take care of it. Traffic is a big one, and that's one that's coming to the fore more and more, partially because of bus rapid transit and the construction that is ongoing. Knocking on people's doors on Highbury Ave, talking about bus rapid transit, what's going to happen there. A lot of them are losing a very large chunk of their land to bus rapid transit. They're not happy about it. So those issues have to be dealt with. They need somebody at City Hall that can carry their voice and let people know what they think and what we can do better.
What else are you hearing at the doors in these early days?
Well, taxes are a big thing. The state of the city the past few years, and the tax increases have been rather large. I will tell you one thing, that I always thought that it would come to an issue such as it has come, where the taxes have been extremely large. The tax increase has been extremely large, but partially is because we haven't made proper decisions in the past in terms of funding the police properly. The police is a big one, and we saw how things go from better to worse, or from how they get worse. So we want to make sure that that's alleviated. I think the money that the police have now within their budgets, they're able to do things better, be more efficient, take care of bigger problems. The one thing that was discussed to me is the more you have the money in there to help with crime, the more crime you will actually see, because the police will find things where they weren't being able to find it before, because now they have the resources to go after things. So I think that's a big one, and we have to make sure that we spend the money efficiently and better with all the services we deliver. But get back to the basics, pick up the leaves, plow the snow, fix the roads, do what we have to do, and make sure things happen.
Fair enough. And let's be really specific about that. If the police were to come and say, look, we need about as much more as we received in the past 4 years, your answer to that is, and let's put it all together, if members of council said, look, we need to increase taxes again by 23.5% over 4 years, your answer is?
You know what, that's probably not going to happen. And everybody that comes before council has to justify what their increases are. So with the increases that have occurred over the past few years, the increases have taken care of many of the issues that the police said were there in the past. So I don't think that's going to happen, Matt. And if it did, they better be very sure of their numbers. But I don't think we would have to deal with something like that. There may be other things that come up. I mean, the economy is one of the big ones right now with what's happening south of the border. That's going to be an issue in regarding unemployment. We also have the highest unemployment rate in the country. That's not a thing to hang our hat on. We've got to make sure that we bring and attract more jobs here. There's a few ideas I have there that I'd like to see happen in conjunction with the mayor's office. I think council would get on side to bring to put some of those ideas forward and help the city. Okay,
looking forward to hearing more about that on the campaign trail. There's about a minute left. 5 folks are running for the position of mayor, the incumbent and 4 challengers. Is there someone that you're thinking about endorsing? Is there a person that you're hoping that you'll be working with in that head of council position?
I'll say this. We have a mayor who I'm been friends with for quite a while. We have another person who's on council right now who's running. I think those are the 2 front runners that will, at the end of the day, it'll be one of them who will become mayor. I think they both have ideas that are very different from each other, but they both have ideas they have to sell before the City of London. And we'll see at the end of the day, and the old answer I'm going to give, I have to be prepared to work with whoever is elected.
And that's democracy. You've got about 20 seconds left, and I want to give that time to you. What's your message to folks in Ward 1?
Well, I've got experience, I've got leadership capabilities, and I know the problems that they have. They're telling me, and I have some ideas on how to fix them. And I know that in the bigger issues, I have the experience in affordable housing, homelessness. I'm very well versed in that stuff, and I'm prepared to bring that forward and help the City of London.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back with more right after this.
Discover London Bicycle Cafe, home of family cargo and urban cycling. Test ride an e-bike along riverside trails to see how easy moving through our city can really be. London Bicycle Cafe at the Forks of the Thames. See you soon.
As I said off the top, joining us now is the current Ward 1 City Councillor, Hadleigh McAlister. Hadleigh, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Listen, it's great for you to take the time in these early days of what is a marathon of a campaign to have a conversation. I would say that just based on my observations around town, this is probably the race that hit the ground running the quickest. This is your second time around running. You defeated an incumbent in 2022. I'm just wondering, after your 4-year experience on council, what's motivating you to go for a second time?
Yeah, I mean, what motivated me to run the first time was I saw a lot of things in Ward 1 that I thought needed to get done. I think we've made some good progress, but I wanted to run for a second term because I think there's still a lot of things to get done, and got the wheels in motion, but I'd like to see some of these things to the finish line.
Okay, and then let's spend a little bit of time on citywide issues, and then we're going to drill down into Ward 1 issues, before our conversation's over. What are you seeing as the biggest issues right across the city?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of interest in terms of like housing and homelessness. The City of London's grown a lot, and with those growing pains, housing being a big one, infrastructure follows closely behind that in terms of all the traffic congestion we're seeing, the BRT project. I had the Wellington Gateway that will now be in Ward 11 moving forward, but those big construction projects, I have commissioners in Highbury this year as well. Those are big disruptors and things like that, definitely top of mind. And again, homelessness, which has been a big topic not only in my ward but across the city, and the challenges that come along with that.
Well, let's talk about homelessness then. This term of council really boldly said that they were going to do big things to deal with homelessness here in London. About $25 million as a major gift was donated to the community, and matched by about $10 million of gifts from other sources, regular everyday Londoners. As far as I know, a good portion of that money is spent, and the homelessness numbers, they're not better. They're actually higher. If we had 2,000 people experiencing homelessness here in London in 2022, it's up now well over 2,200. Now, it's not just a London issue. Let's be fair. There are over 85,000 people experiencing homelessness right across the province. So knowing what you've done over the past 4 years, is there anything you do differently?
I think we've made some good progress. I look back to the hub model, which got a lot of attention when we endorsed that. And really, I think that showed a lot of success. The province adopted it. They tweaked it as they saw fit. But we can't do everything. I think where the city has seen progress is on the capital side of things. That $30 million, I know it might seem like a lot, but when you look at the cost of projects, I think on the capital side we've done some good work in terms of the hub model, supporting some projects to get them off the ground in terms of the capital to either buy land or help with the construction. And then even when you look at the newest addition, which is the micro shelter, having that money available to be able to buy the shelters and get that operational, I think that those are things we can look to in terms of what we've been able to do over the course of this council term. Like you said, unfortunately, the numbers do keep growing. We've been able to help approximately like 1,500 people, which I know the mayor speaks to a lot, and really that doesn't seem like a big number, but it's still us being able to help people. It does grow, but this is not only a London issue, it's a provincial issue, it's across Canada really, right? So we're doing what we can to keep those numbers down, but they do keep growing, and this isn't just on us. I think all levels of government still have to come together to really make headway on this. Yeah,
it's funny. I was going to ask you if you thought a single mid-sized municipality could solve its own homelessness crisis. You answered that question. What do you think you need to see from the federal government and the provincial government moving forward?
Yeah, I think what we need to see is a replacement for all the services we lost. When you look back, especially in like the 90s, when all the facilities started closing down, there was a desire to do away with the institutions, if you will, right? And so I think what everyone has been waiting to see is what will replace that, right? And I think London was a leader in terms of the hub model. We put forward an idea in terms of being able to support different groups with that. But again, we need those operating dollars, which is really critical. I think the province has a huge role to play in terms of, especially with mental health and addictions. Those are huge, and no municipality can take those on. Those are healthcare dollars that we absolutely can't fund through the property tax base. And on the federal side, I think they can do a lot in terms of spurring that housing growth. They have a lot of dollars available. There's a number of programs that they've brought online to really spur the housing side of things. And we have seen success with the supportive housing model. But again, it's getting all the dollars in place from the different levels of government to make those things work.
Gotcha. Okay. We're about halfway through our time together. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
I want to really drill down into some Ward 1 issues. Ward 1 is not the same Ward 1 that we saw in 2022 and in years previous, because some boundaries have changed, and in other wards as well. But these were significant ones, just as they would be significant up in between Ward 7 and Ward 5. So significant that Ward 1 is inheriting Oldies Village from Ward 4. I think that, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you spoke not in favor of that when the decision was being made. How are you feeling about this these days?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, and I still feel this way, to be honest, was I think having greater representation, especially for those big issues, was important. When you look at specifically, say, homelessness or areas that are really in need of revitalization. So, for instance, I have Hamilton Road. Dundas experiences a lot of the same issues. And what I found was that those issues are important, but having two representatives gave more votes on council. And so what I found really unfortunate is by putting them in one, effectively you've cut down another vote on council. And really what I see happening, unfortunately, is there's a lot of votes that come down to what I would say is almost inner city issues versus suburban issues. And by only having two councillors essentially now dealing with that, it puts it as a bit of a disadvantage. I also feel like a lot of what I had heard from my constituents in terms of the boundaries was largely ignored by the consultants, which was very frustrating because I don't feel like they took that into account. I think they made their determination in terms of what a neighborhood of interest was and moved forward how they saw fit. Which is it's frustrating, but I think we've seen that in the past when you have consultants that aren't necessarily familiar with London itself. Sometimes you don't necessarily get that, boots on the ground or view in terms of what's going on and, who best could deal with that. Because again, having those two voices at council versus just the one now, I think will put us at a bit of a disadvantage. I think whoever gets Ward 13 as well, Ward 1 and Ward 13 will have to work very closely together.
Yeah, and fair enough. It's a complicated question, and thanks for providing an answer that was really detailed on that. I noticed just by driving around town, particularly on Highbury, that you're already out campaigning, or at least you're already out putting up signs. Are you knocking on doors?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been talking with my neighbors a lot. In the early days, I think a lot of folks are just kind of approaching you saying like, oh, you're running for your election, a lot of, good job, like keep going. I think those words of encouragement are really important, especially in those early days, to keep that momentum going, but also recognizing we are in early days and you don't want to burn out and use up all of your gas right at the beginning. So for me, it's, doing this incrementally, doing the neighborhood canvases, because every neighborhood's different issues, and really kind of setting up those canvases, those community chats in different locations to ensure that everybody's voice is heard. And so when we get to the vote, people will be able to say, I saw Hadleigh out there, he's doing a good job, and we had a great chat, and I want to give my support to him.
Yeah, there's more than 5 months to go in this campaign. I often describe these as a marathon followed by a marathon followed by a marathon. So what are you hearing about local issues? Maybe you're talking to the business community in OEV or on Hamilton Road, or maybe you're talking to residents. What are people bringing forward for you to pay attention to?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think just because we've kind of started construction season, that is top of mind for folks. I know I was calling it the big three in terms of right now in Ward 1, the current Ward 1, Wellington, Commissioners, and Highbury are all torn up. So a lot of our main routes right now in the ward are big disruptors. People are feeling the pain on that. So that's what I've been hearing a lot of. Just in terms of even bringing the new part of the ward, OEV. Obviously, homelessness is a big one. But I think really what I've heard too is people want somebody who is collaborative. They're willing to kind of listen to all sides, but actually get things done. I think there's been a bit of divisiveness on council right now. However you look at it in terms of whether you support it or not. The current Ward 4 councillor, I think, has been controversial, and I think there's an appetite, especially in OEV, to calm the waters and get back to business.
Yeah, fair enough. And we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I want to get two more questions in if I'm able to. The first is 23.5%, record-setting, at least this century, 4-year increase. A couple of thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what's interesting when you look at the budget, specifically for this term of council, the thing to keep in mind too is this was a strong mayor budget. And so even for me, like this was first time on council, but vastly different from what other councils have experienced. And so largely, the mayor set the priorities for our first multi-year budget. And coming into it, I understood, okay, here's the mayor's budget. And we had to kind of work with that as our starting point. The mayor had his priorities, and then from our perspective, we all had our priorities as well. And making those amendments to either, add things, remove things. There were a lot of service areas that needed things. And you saw that with the big increase in terms of what the police were asking for. And so we started at a very high point, recognizing that the police had asked for that, but there are a lot of service areas that also need support. Understanding that puts a lot of pressure on the tax base, but also understanding the situation we're in. Municipalities have taken on a lot, and unfortunately dollars go with that.
For sure. Okay, now really quickly, whomever the mayor is brings forward another 23.5% increase this time around. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough to justify just after what we experienced. I think the case was made that we needed those because historically those areas hadn't got that. But I think whoever's mayor is going to have a very hard time convincing the public that needs to happen again. I think they're going to have to be very strategic in terms of where they want the dollars to go.
Okay, and speaking of mayors, there are 5 candidates currently running for office, 1 incumbent and 4 challengers. When you look at the group, is there anybody you're thinking about endorsing? Is there anyone you're hoping to be able to work with at the end of this election?
I mean, it's an open race. I like to say with every, whether it's ward, mayor, it's a tough position to put yourself forward. It takes a toll on you personally, professionally. So I applaud everyone for coming forward. I've enjoyed my time working with Mayor Morgan, but I'm not endorsing anyone. Just from my experience, I think he has advocated well for this city. But there are a lot of people who are going to throw their name in for that one, and so I wish everyone luck with that race.
Fair enough, and the voters are never wrong. Listen, we are absolutely out of time, so we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks again. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and good luck out there in the campaign trail.
Great. Thanks for having me, Matt.
So that's that. I'm Matt Brown, and you're listening to the Matt Brown Podcast. It's a show about all things local and maybe some other stuff too. As always, thanks for listening. Bye for now, and talk to you again soon. London.